I'm a woman with chronic schizophrenia. I've spent hundreds of days in psychiatric hospitals. I might have ended up spending most of my life on the back ward of a hospital, but that isn't how my life turned out. In fact, I've managed to stay clear of hospitals for almost 3 decades, perhaps my proudest accomplishment. As a young woman, I was in a psychiatric hospital on 3 different occasions for lengthy periods. My doctors diagnosed me with chronic schizophrenia and gave me a prognosis of, quote, grave. That is, at best, I was expected to live in abortion care and work at menial jobs. Fortunately, I did not actually enact that grave prognosis. Instead, I'm a chaired professor of law, psychology, and psychiatry at the USC Gould School of Law. I have many close friends, and I have a beloved husband, Will, who's here with us today. Thank you.
Many of us see people with mental illness in our everyday life, yet we hide from it or are embarrassed by it. The voice of the mentally impaired matters. Unfortunately, many people have negative views of mental health problems, negative attitudes, and a lack of understanding. This can cause people with mental health problems to be treated badly or labeled in a way that hurts their standing in the community. This is sometimes called stigma, and it can affect those with mental or emotional problems. Mentally ill people should not have a silenced voice in society. Many of them are very smart, they just don't have a way of showing it.
When it started, we had high hopes. Now my back's on the line, my back's on the ropes.
Everyone has seen a street person, unkempt, probably ill-fed, standing outside of an office building muttering to himself or shouting. This person is likely to have some form of schizophrenia. But schizophrenia presents itself across a wide array of socioeconomic status, and there are people with the illness who are full-time professionals with major responsibilities.
Now what you're about to see is Broadmoor. Broadmoor is the most secure mental facility in the UK and is home to over 200 patients that have all done terrible crimes in their existence.
The easiest reaction in the world is to see somebody that has committed something atrocious, label them as evil, want to lock the door and throw away the key.
How old you are?
I'm 40 years old.
40?
Yeah. Altogether, I've done 20 years. 15 years here and 5 years in prison.
Some mentally impaired people are actually soldiers, like this guy here.
Soldier. It's called Somalia, Somaliland.
Were you?
Yeah, when I was young, I had my first AK at the age of 9 years old. You know.
This next patient is Adam. He's had a long history of self-harm. He's had a long history of people outside the family sexually abusing him.
Escalated to the point where I was putting my life on the line on a daily basis, because I was cutting arteries, tendons, but it's like my hand, it's totally constrained and backwards because I got a wound here where I cut all the tendons and that. I had a very traumatic childhood. The way I felt is that my parents didn't love me as much as they should have. I was sexually abused by various people outside the family, and because of the sexual abuse, self-harm started taking place when I was about 8 years old. I started off with pulling out toenails and things like that, and I also started setting fires at that age as well. I just sort of grew up hating everybody, hating society, hating life. Self-harm was a way of me escaping all that.
It's his final evening, and time for a last movie with his mate.
Jennifer Lopez is in a lot of films lately.
Do you have to stay outside in the corridor?
Many patients in Broadmoor, just like you and me, they like hanging out with friends, talking with friends, even watching movies with friends.
Well, when we talk about the prognosis for this illness, if someone has a first episode, I think the prognosis can be quite good, that with the right treatment, there's a very good chance that the person will respond, will go into remission so that there are not obvious signs or symptoms. And then with the right ongoing treatment, we'd like to bring about what we call recovery, which means helping the person get back to work or back to school, back to being a homemaker or whatever it is that they want to do. And we can't assure that in all cases, but we certainly think there's a good chance that people can go a long way towards recovery.
Mental illness is nothing to be hiding from. It is all around us, and we need to face it and make things right. No more ignoring it. Ignoring the problem makes the problem worse. It makes the problem larger in the end. Mentally ill people should have the right to voice their opinions. Much of the mental illness cannot be healed, but some of it can. Mentally ill people should not have a silenced voice in society. Many of them are very smart, they just don't have the way to show it.
Look up to the sky, breathe before the dawn. 'Cause they fly away. Sometimes they arrive, sometimes they are gone. They fly on. Flock of birds